Hey, Olympia, have you updated your link to the judges? Hey, Olympia, are you there? Any track leads or track support folks on the call?
Yes, I am here, the track lead.
Hey, yeah.
Using the iPad.
Okay.
Okay, and let me see if I can connect on the computer, because in the iPad, how am I going to share the slides? And they are still working.
Okay, so this, I will give this to the judges then.
Yeah, they already have it.
Oh, they have it, okay.
Yeah, but you can share it again.
Okay, thank you.
I am meeting everybody right now. Now I want to connect on my computer too and see if it's working. The presentation, so I can do the presentation on the final judge criteria. Thank you for waiting, okay? Sorry for the difficulties. We're still working on this. Coming up is number 4. I have to share that link with my team, with the support team. Hi, let me continue meeting people. And the presentation, they're still working on it. We were half an hour behind with the mentors today. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to see if I can connect on my computer so I can share the slides. From my computer, it doesn't let me. Hold on. This is bad. Maybe one of the tech support may be that, but I'm going to reinstall Zoom on my computer. Should take only 1 minute. Okay. I need somebody to, I'm restarting the computer. I don't have another choice, and I think I should do that a long time ago.
Olympia, you have any other support in the call?
I send them the link, and I don't, let me see.
Okay,
Because they are working on the slides still.
Hi, Olympia. We just joined. We are done with the
Okay.
slides.
okay.
You are the, I don't think they are done because I was looking that the names are missing.
If you have
Can
your
you-
first one, I would suggest that you go ahead. If you have your first one, please go ahead while the rest
Well,
of you help.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes,
we will do it as soon as I can get my computer, unless somebody else of the tech support can share the screen.
yes. Do you want me to share and start it?
Yes,
I'm
please
Devendra,
share and
Olympia.
make your first presentation.
Yes.
And I don't know if this, I think it is hard to do waiting rooms because we have other people joining. So I think just verbally, we will tell that as soon as you call out the name, only that team is present here and the rest of the participants are not in the call. Is Elizabeth here on this call?
I admit everybody.
Okay. Hey, Elizabeth, are you on the call? Okay, so let us check if all the judges are in. So tracker judges are Mr. Akash Bhatia. Are you on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Pritika Hingorani.
Yes, I'm on the call.
Hello. And I'm sorry, I might be messing up the titles here because I don't have the titles here. I'm just going to address it as Ms. Sabrina Khan.
Yes, I'm on it.
Okay. And Mr. Steve Hunwell.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, awesome. Everybody is in. All right. Thank you, Olympia. I think Elizabeth is not here, but you have your track support, so I think you're good. My suggestion is for you to begin if you have your first slides. So I don't know if it is Devendra or Nitya who is speaking. If one of you have the slides, please share and go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
I will speak, and then Devendra just move the slides.
Yes.
Can
Sure.
you put it in presentation mode for me, please? And please, everybody, mute them yourselves. And when we call your name, the person who speak, who will present, we will move the slides for you. And let me go through the logistics. Okay, we are going to go in order. So it's get ready. The person for team 2 will be the first one to present. So slide number 1, yes.
Have you shared the judge form links with your judges privately on chat?
No, I thought that you guys were doing that, all that stuff, because I was overtired yesterday.
Okay, no worries. Let me just share.
It's I saw the evaluation form on the Google Doc. So
let me share it with you privately, and don't paste it publicly. Please paste it separately to each of your judges. But I will do it that.
that there is still more people coming in.
Mr. Akash Bhatia, I think I've pasted the, hold on, I think the link is not getting pasted. 1 second.
Okay, can we
I got
start?
the link. Don't worry about it. I have the link on. You gave it to me on Slack. So
Oh, okay.
the form, right? Yeah. I mean, you gave it on the channel. So
On the
got it.
channel. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right. So if everybody has access to Slack channel, if all the judges have access to the Slack channel, you can use it from there.
Okay, let's get started. People are still coming. I don't understand.
This is a public link, Olympia. We have shared this with all the mentors, but don't worry about who's joining.
Okay.
All the
All right.
judges have forms.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you so much. We are going to go in order. So of the slides, even the team's presentation by number, from 2 to number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 28, 33, 34, and 95. Thank you for your patience. Very hard technical difficulties to this morning and delaying early. So I am very pleased to introduce you the Track I team. We had all those teams that I just mentioned, and they had been working very hard the whole weekend with us. And you can move to the next slide, please. Track I final presentation, as you know, is the Turning the Tide for India, and is the highlighting and communicating COVID-19 information that is scientifically accurate. We have wonderful judges, and I will please introduce them from the left to the right. Please take your turn. I don't want to mispronounce your name, but I'm very happy that you're here with us to help us to find these solutions and making them available for the India community and probably for the whole, all the countries. Akash, can you please just in 2 minutes introduce yourself and then call the next person, the next judge, and please, I am very happy. Thank you.
Thanks, Olympia. Hi, my name is Akash Bhatia. Happy to be here. I am an MIT alum, and I also run a company called Infinite Analytics. We've been working very closely with the municipal corporations of Mumbai and Pune, especially in helping them with contact tracing and analyzing a lot of the COVID mobility data. Thanks, happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Kritika Hingorani. I'm an MIT alum as well, and I work with a think tank in Bombay called IDFC Institute. We work very closely with government trying to embed research into the policy-making process and helping with implementation. In response to COVID, we set up a task force that's been working with the government at the state and the central level on a variety of issues. So one of the things we've done actually on the communications front is develop communications material for state governments, for corporates, for a wide variety of people. We also did some of the first serological surveys in India that showed that the spread was much more than the actual statistics. Excited to be judging this track.
Thank you.
I'll go. Good morning. My name is Sabrina Khan, and I'm from Al Jazeera Media Network. The company is based out of Doha, and the motto of the company is giving voice to the voiceless. So we focus on kind of the counter narrative of mainstream media. I'm a data science practice lead at the company. So we do work on trying to detect fake news and other issues using various data science techniques, including natural language processing. I'm actually really excited to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity. On to you, Steve.
Great, thank you, Sabrina. Steve Honeywell, Senior Director with IST Research, based out of Boston. So good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. Our team at IST Research, we engage with vulnerable populations through various technical solutions, and we also social listen and content discover on various social platforms as well as traditional media. Internal R&D efforts have led us to look at disinformation, cross-platform disinformation as it pertains to COVID-19, as well as understanding the prevalence of COVID-19 in hidden populations or vulnerable populations. So some work that that is relevant here today, and very much looking forward to hearing from and engaging with each team and learning from you. And thank you for this opportunity.
Great. Thank you so much. Let's move on. Next, please. Next slide. So these are all the people who are sponsored. I just want to thank to all of them for sponsor such a wonderful event, and then probably sponsor and follow up with the teams after this event. We will see. Next. So as you know, the hackathon, we went to pitch, we mix, we hack, we provide you with feedback, we iterate, and then now is the final time to present. And so I'm very pleased next that you guys participate. Now let's look at the judging criteria for this hackathon. Very quickly, you know, they are going to base their judging in 4 categories: the impact, the innovation, the implementation, and the presentation related to our team theme about communication and the information accuracy. I don't want to read what it's all about because we are late anyways. So the logistics for the final presentations, this is going to be recorded. Multiple team members can present and answer the Q&A questions. We will give you 3 minutes and we will have a timer, and to present and 2 minutes for Q&A. And the order you present is randomly, but we will just call you by the number. Actually, we decided to go from 2 to 95 to make life easier because it has been a long weekend. We will tell you that you are next. We will give you 5 minutes to prepare, and if you will be presenting for your team, please raise your hand and the host will unmute you. When it is your turn to present, you will unmute and turn your video on so we can see you, and we will flip your slides for you. I will give you a minute warning by holding up a sign in my camera. So try to keep an eye on my camera so I can wave. So the judges will pick up 4 winners per track. The slides is very informative, so please raise your hand.
I think the
Wait.
voice is on.
Pardon me? We need to have everybody mute, please. Next slides, please. Okay, team number 2 is coming up, and the next one is number 3. So who is presenting on number 2? So we can unmute you. Or you can unmute yourself, please. Just one person.
We have 2 people from our team.
Okay, so unmute yourselves and
Yes, we both have ourselves unmuted.
let me know when you're ready.
Yep, we're ready.
Give me 1 second. Sorry. We're ready.
Go ahead.
Next. This is Suraj. Next. This is Suraj, a 19-year-old pizza delivery man. Back. This is Suraj, 19-year-old pizza delivery man working hard every day to save up funds for his college tuition. But now Suraj is currently in a critical state at the hospital, and the pizza shop is shutting down with many of their employees testing positive for COVID-19. Meanwhile, customers are afraid, brand reputation is fumbling, families of employees are angry at the company, and now the parent company is trying to figure out what their next step is to ensure safe work practices are acknowledged across all of their branch locations, and hence come the problems we would like to address. Next. Which is, how do we assure every member of the company has correct understanding of the basics of COVID-19 and the safety precautions that must be taken? This is especially critical as increasing number of companies are preparing to transition their employees to work on site. Next.
And our solution is Cove. Cove is an e-learning platform providing fun and easy modules to educate employees returning to on-site work on various COVID-19 topics, including work safety. The modules are created and uploaded regularly based on officially guidelines by the WHO and ICMR. Cove has information in layman's language, clearly broken down into key points, as well as features such as short videos and interactive quizzes that take no longer than 15 minutes to complete. Next. And now, what makes our product different from any other learning solutions? Current offerings of training modules are much more content heavy, whereas our product just takes the key information, breaks it down into more digestible forms, has animated videos to retain attention, interactive quizzes with problem recognition, and the best of all, we provide the option of recertification by engaging in optional monthly exercises containing our updated materials. Next. And this is a sample overview of how our product will look. Next.
We are implementing a B2B model involving EHS companies, which allows us to access their connections to first establish our presence in the market. We will provide them full access to a platform via a licensing deal, which they can provide to the corporates on a subscription model, which then will be used to provide up-to-date training materials for their employees. Next. Here is a breakdown of the funds we estimate will be required to implement Cove. First, content and production itself will be bootstrapped and produced in-house. We will outsource the video production, accounting for about 28%, and a significant proportion of our budgets will also be used for marketing. Operational, including the maintenance costs, we would take around 23% of our budget. Lastly, we estimate around 5% of the budgets covering unforeseen costs. Next.
This is our future plan. In about 6 months, we plan to associate with other companies as affiliate marketers to combine our content with their relevant products to create bundles at discounted rates for corporates directly as a subscription or full access revenue model. And once we've established market presence, after 2 years, we expect to expand into various topic areas, including general disaster prevention and other significant future problems of India that companies must consider. Next.
You are over the time now.
Yep, this is just our team, and that's it. Thank you for your attention, and bye-bye.
Thank you, team 2, number 2. And could you please get ready, team number 3?
So could I ask a question? Is this where we get?
I'm sorry, just to get ready, we have to get feedback from the judges. They have
I think
2 minutes.
Right, okay. So I think one of the questions I had is, so for this solution, like, do you think people, like regular people in India will have easy access to it, or who will be your target consumer?
So our target consumer will be like those big corporate companies, and we're going to plan to start with the environmental health and safety department. So through them, we'll be able to reach broader audience, and we'll be able to contact companies who will need their workers to come back on site, but need to ensure that their workers also know the right protocols, safety guidelines, general COVID information, and that company's motive will promote our platform.
Okay, thank you.
Where do you, this is Akash Bhatia. Can you just go back to the slide where you're going to get this information from? How do you plan on collating all this information?
Oh, we plan to use WHO guidelines and also the guidelines by the Indian government.
Okay, with the ICMR, I'm guessing.
ICMR, and then the Health and Family Welfare, CDC, and
do you plan to automate some of this, or would you need people to sit there and manually kind of?
We intend to initially start out doing it ourselves, following the guidelines. There are a limited number of guidelines, although they are updated on a regular basis. But because we have a pretty big team who can handle it, we will try to handle it at first. But then we do intend to use some aspects of AI in the future. And this was something that we talked about that we wanted to do as we try to expand into different sectors as well and different training modules. But as we focus right now on COVID-19, we think we can handle it ourselves.
Yeah, and we will use like basic crossword matching and phrase recognition to get more questions in our base and match the next questions once they've completed them. So that's a big amount of our budget is allocated towards getting more production efforts completed.
Okay, thank you.
This is Pritika. Just a quick question. So the largest share of the Indian workforce is in the informal sector. And so can you think of a distribution model, perhaps through nonprofits or even the government itself, that reaches out to the informal worker, because they usually tend to get the least training and are often the most vulnerable because they don't have social security protection or health insurance or anything like that?
Great question. So although our direct customers are the big companies and even the mid-sized companies, the workforce that we're trying to target are the ones who have, like, say, factory workers underneath a large corporation, and delivery people, and all those small people, or not small people, all the people who typically don't get a lot of education. But another sector that we would love to tackle in the future, although right now we're trying to focus on one area so we can actually pursue this. And another area is, trying to work with NGOs and other governmental organizations and, expand out, because this is scalable.
And as part of our future our future plan, we did mention we want to have like affiliate marketers that could be with like PharmD companies, insurance, and more. So creating
or you could just create some, sorry, this is Akash again. You could just create some feeds, XML feeds for, open source them or get people to consume those feeds. So you could sort of have a more widespread dispersion of all your content. Just a thought.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, team 2.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Now let's have team 3, please. To mute, and the person who is going to present needs to share the screen. I mean, not share sorry. the video.
Hello, Olympia. Yeah, am I audible?
You have 3 minutes to present. Let me know when you are ready.
Yeah, we are ready.
Okay, let's move on.
So we are Team Gyanvid, and we are building a multi-platform validator for COVID-19 related information. Next slide. You know that there is an infodemic situation right now, and the information is not even validated. Let's hear a story about an office-going man, Ramesh, who just got a WhatsApp forward claiming hydroxychloroquine can cure COVID-19, and by his natural concern for his family, he shares it to his family group, where Suresh, who is his cousin, trusts the message and is willing to try it on himself. But Suresh did not check the information, it was true or false. And the article was actually false. Next slide, please. And when these kind of incidents happens, we get to have these kind of big incidents happening in the world. Next slide, please. Coming to the point of statistics, and please remember that I'm just talking about WhatsApp and Facebook only, which are two giants in the field of social media. Alone from them, 60 billion messages are being transferred daily, and out of which 22 billion are related to news and media, and in that lot also, 30% of them are fake. Next. As our problem space is bigger, so as our innovation impact, to target most of the users who are using the internet, we have innovated an app-based solution for mobile users and an extension-based solution for the people working on desktops and laptops. Our innovation involves a two-step approach. First is the highlighting and surfacing the truth. The second is stopping the spread of fake news. Next. Imagine a scenario where you are searching COVID-19 information on the web and you are flooded with tons of results. Our extension in this case will help the user to find the relevant results and highlight the main important aspects in them. Next. In the second approach, we let a user type or copy paste a string or a phrase to check its truthfulness. If the query is not related to COVID-19, we simply display it to be irrelevant. Now, if the phrase is related to COVID-19, then next. Next slide, please. So this is how our results will be displayed. The user will be able to see the likeliness of the phrase, whether how close it is to be related to true or fake. Along with that, we are enriching the user's information by providing him the generated animations or by video, thereby reinforcing the fact or through the means of image. We are also not limiting the user to enter into our application every time, but we are providing a floating button which will let the user to just go through their normal routine and use the application to check for a piece of information by using the screenshot feature. Next.
You run out of time.
Okay.
This is Akash. Can I ask a question, Olympia, now?
Sure. Yeah, it's your time.
Okay. All right. Okay. Are you talking about this floating button being on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger? Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. Actually, it is basically displayed on the whole screen. So whatever application you open, it will remain on the screen itself. Yeah.
Yeah, but on the application, which is WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, right? That's what you're talking about.
Right, sir. Right.
Okay. Okay. And how will you do the fact check?
Sir, for the fact check part, are you talking about how we are doing it through the screenshot or a general query?
No, I'm talking about how we're going to do the verify the message, whether that's true or false.
Okay. So first of all, we are using the normal conventional keyword searching to see if that information is related to COVID-19 or not. Then we are actually, then what we are trying to do is we are trying to understand the meaning of the sentence by using our deep learning models. And then we are trying to see how much on the scale of fake to true, on which point does the information lie. And according to that we are displaying our results.
So the results are model-based and not necessarily being cross-checked with information outside. Is that what's happening here, basically?
Ma'am, actually, the database that we have prepared is from the information that we are taking from the pioneering institutes in the field. I think that whatever the information they provide, if that is true, then our solution can recognize it.
And have you thought about protecting privacy? People may have concerns about using this extension. They
Sabrina,
have,
I'm sorry. Sorry,
okay.
I think you're cutting in and out. Not able to hear
Okay.
you. Okay.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Much
Or,
better.
okay, sorry. So I was just thinking, you know, if I were to use the extension, right, I would be concerned about
Right.
the privacy of my content, and is there any way to assuage that concern?
Yes. So only if you are searching a piece of information which is related to COVID, you keep the extension on. On the other times, you can keep it off, so to protect the privacy.
Sorry, this is Akash again. Very quickly, how have you thought about how you would integrate into WhatsApp and Facebook? Like, given that you would need, you know, sort of, you need to develop
Right.
actively them to have that floating
Uh,
button.
Yes. So actually, I think maybe I'm not able to demonstrate what I'm saying. Actually, the floating button will be available on the whole screen. So it doesn't matter whichever application you open. It is
Got it.
just a
Got it.
floating button.
It's a native
Yeah.
app
Right.
and it will be floating. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay.
Right. Right.
Hi, this is Steve. So two questions real quick. One, in terms of awareness, app awareness, what will you do to drive users to download? And then the second question is, will this only be relevant to those English speakers, or will it be multilingual?
Okay. So, sir, for the second question, right now it is limited to the English-speaking people, but we can use the means of translation medium to convert it into other languages also. And the second question is, uh, like, so my teammates would like to answer. I think they know much better about this.
There's a lot of crashing.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, I was not
Yeah,
able to hear the question. Can you please repeat?
I don't know who is the one who is having the noise in the background there. That needs to be muted, but I don't see anybody there. It's probably when this presenter is doing it.
Hello, I'm Rushikesh. Yeah, I'm the teammate.
Go ahead and answer the question from the judge, please.
Sorry, Stephen, sir. I was not able to hear your question properly. Can you please repeat a bit?
Yes, just quite simply, what is the intent for driving user downloads for engagement with the app?
Regarding our strategy is like for the first point we are going to survey a group of users for the interest and all.
Yeah, actually, the reason is that the time that we are saving of the users, and the second thing is, which my friend mentioned, that we are conducting a survey, and the innovation that we have carried out is based on the output of that survey. If we had time, we would be happy to show it on the slide itself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team number 3. And now team number 4, please unmute the person who is going to present and share, show your video.
Hello, I'm here, Olympia.
Thank you.
I'm Chinaya here.
Great. Could you please show the screen, the slides, please?
Shall I start now?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, good luck. Go ahead.
Hello everyone, I am Chinay Ahmed, CEO and co-founder of Nimble Vision. We are Bangalore-based IoT startup. Our motto is simplifying the way of life. Next slide, please. All the state governments across India and even the other countries are struggling to contain this virus. And they are trying literally very hard to do the public survey by monitoring temperature and SPI2. If you see the picture on the left side, in India also we are doing it. But this process is completely a manual one, and paper and pen is involved. This causes a lot of delay and it is inaccurate, and it doesn't contain the information like geolocation, date and time. And this information is not reaching to the government and health authorities in real time. So it is not really helping the intentions per purpose. And also in factories, the thermal sensor is made mandatory, and many companies are using biometric attendance, which can't be used. Next slide, please. Nivarak, our solution is called Nivarak, a problem Corona Nivarak, which is trying to solve the Corona Nivarak problem. First one is a connected pulse oximeter. This is not just an ordinary pulse oximeter, but it is IoT enabled pulse oximeter. It gets the data from the IR sensor and it builds with the user information, name, photo, email, geolocation, date and time. And this data is made remotely available to all the concerned people. And this custom hardware is developed by us only, including mobile app and a web dashboards. Next slide. We have this thermometer also. Similarly, it also takes the contactless temperature and builds the user information along with the mobile app and shares that remote data to remotely on the cloud server. And this all the people can download this data in Excel, web and app dashboards. Next slide, please. How it works? It is a smart IoT device, a credit card size IoT device, which pairs with the mobile phone, which has our smart app, and it gets the data from the sensors, and it also builds the user information, including Aadhaar card recognition. The combined data is remotely made available on the cloud server, and which can be accessed by all the people instantly, real-time data. And the data is securely communicated to the Amazon cloud server and hosted as well. And the data is synced back to our both app and web dashboards. Next slide, please. So who are the prospective customers? The governments, all the governments across India and the hospitals across India. And we can launch this product across entire globe because everyone is in need of this, and there is need of an instant survey and a quick decision making. So that is where we are going to help the people. And the market size is 7.3 billion people and entire world. Next slide. How we fare in the competition. Nivarak is basically a connected thermometer and pulse oximeter. Association of the user information with the geolocation, that is our USP. Data in app and web, that is our USP. Aadhaar card linkage directly, there is no manual effort in registration of the user, that is our USP. Option to link the data to Arogya Setu app seamless to the backend, that also provision we have. So we have all these USP compared to all the standalone thermometers as well as the pulse oximeters. Next slide. So how the impact wise? So we'll help the government, all the governments to quickly do the survey and making the instant data availability that will help to take the quick decisions and contain the virus spread. Since we are linking directly the Aadhaar card, so there's less effort, less errors, and we can also link this solution to the government other schemes like insurance compensation as well. And remote tracking and monitoring public. Every corner of India can be tracked with solution because it works with the mobile phone data directly. And we also have feature integration with the Arogya Setu app so that it makes it seamless across multiple sectors. Next slide, please. So this is the Nivarak
already.
Yeah, Nivarak is a thermal sensor is already deployed in India and Australia, and pulse oximeter done this weekend. So we're launching Monday. This is a video, actually, quick video. And we're also going to integrate Alexa to this by bringing verbal data analytics. Next slide, please. Somebody can play the video just for 2 minutes. 1 second. Just small. Yeah.
It's supposed to be 3 minutes.
So we have one mode called manual mode and QR code mode.
Go ahead.
It takes the temperature or the pulse oximeter. Yeah. Drag it further. Yeah. If you see that it is recognize the Aadhaar card, then it picks up the SPI2 data and makes it available both on app and web.
Thank you.
Yeah, next slide, please. Just last one, I think. So, and this is the revenue model. It's on par with the existing solutions. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Hello, next slide, please.
Yeah, I think that's all the slides we have here.
Okay.
Thank you.
And last thing I want to add is we have won the first prize in the first hackathon conducted by STPI India and the government of Orissa out of 600 applications. Thank you.
So quick question: did you work on this just on over this weekend, or at this? This is
Actually, there are two variants. The temperature part we have done long back, and this weekend we have done this SPR2 part actually.
SPR part, okay.
So the problem with
launch part or SPR2 part, yeah. Sorry.
So one of the problems that then can come up is when you're linking Aadhaar data along with the personal information,
Yes.
and you're making that available. I think the big problem over here is data privacy and personally identifiable information going in the wrong hands. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, actually, I'm aware of this
yeah.
compliance point of view, Aadhaar card, which UID has made mandatory that it should be encrypted data. You can use the Aadhaar card data, but it should be encrypted wherever you store it or use it. That is what we have
No,
done.
it's not about the encryption. It's about linking multiple data sets. You're taking the data set of, you're taking that personal information, you're linking it to the Aadhaar, you're confirming the identity. This data on my health, if I am going to be the user, my health, my Aadhaar information, my personal information, along with my temperature and so on and so forth, is going to rest on someone's servers, right? But that holding that personally identifiable information along with my phone number is has tremendous amount of implications. Have you thought about that?
Yes, yes, we have thought about it because if you see all the governments are already using Aadhaar card. If they are doing home-to-home survey, if you see in Bangalore or Goa or Delhi also, they're using Aadhaar card as all the data, their Aadhaar number, their address and everything they're already collected. Manually, it's done on pen and paper. So what we're going to do is the same approach we're following. What we're doing is just automated the entire process here. And we have also taken the data privacy part, where how to store the data on a phone or how to on the cloud server, the compliance point of view also. We have studied the UID mandatory clauses, so accordingly this has been done.
What's the price difference? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So what's the price between the regular thermometer and this? Because that will
500 rupees extra, but we have some subscription charges actually.
What's the price of a thermometer right now? The ones that you see outside?
We are selling it 6K actually.
No, it's your selling price. I'm talking about the regular ones that you said you want to replace or people will replace.
4.5K.
Okay.
The good one comes with 4.5K minimum actually.
Pratik, all yours.
Okay, thanks, Akash. Couple of questions. One, completely echo Akash on the data privacy implications. So one thing I think you'll have to think through is, it's okay for the government to link Aadhaar to this, but you'd have to partner with the government. And I think that's the thing, right? The government would have to use it to link it. The second thing is Aadhaar doesn't tell you location, right? Aadhaar tells you permanent address. And so, you know, my Aadhaar card could be in Punjab, but I live in Bombay. So that's one issue to think through. But broadly, the data privacy implications of this are tricky. There's also, you know, if you integrate with Arogya Setu, a lot of people don't actually use Arogya Setu. The other thing I'd say is there's a lot of focus on symptoms. But what we're seeing in India is that a very large share of the population is asymptomatic. It's fine, you could say, look, we're still getting a subset of the people who are symptomatic. But then you need to follow this up with tests, because not everyone that has a temperature necessarily has COVID. So then you need to link it to tests. SpO2 doesn't drop in all cases, but if it does, it is an indicator. And also with SpO2, you need a baseline, and then you need to drop below the baseline. Right? Some people just have low SpO2. So that's, in general, I'm a bit uncomfortable with this screening that's being done.
Yeah, actually, I very much understand. See, as a common man, I will also understand your concerns. But as an entrepreneur, right, so the government is already trying to do the stuff. That process we're automating. And coming to the accuracy and how accurate it is actually. See, if you see the Delhi government observations, 9 out of 10 people whom the pulse oxygen saturation was less than 90%, they were COVID actually. So that is how actually they are so confident. And entire world, if you see the after temperature, it may be 25% of people have a COVID, But the pulse oximeter survey says 95% times actually the accuracy is good, the rate of impacted COVID actually. And that is the only two ways as of now we can see where we can do the mass survey and quickly get the data and help the government to quickly do it. And also we are working with the government only. Intention is to work with the government, but we also have other features, the manual QR code generation in our solution. If there is no Aadhaar card privacy is there, we also have a feature which generates automatic QR code based on the phone number and name. You can use that other than Aadhaar card. That feature also is in the manual mode.
Judges, if you don't have any questions, we can stop right now. Everybody's okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team 4.
Hi.
Next team is team 5.
Yeah.
And let me know when you're ready. You have 3 minutes to present, and then 2 minutes with the judges to ask questions.
I'm ready. First slide, please. Hi, good evening and good morning. I'm here to present today about peak COVID-19. It's an application that predicts when COVID-19 is going to peak by geographic reason. Next slide, please. Why would you even need to know when COVID is going to peak? There's a real problem in corporates, government, and wherever there's policy decision making to know how to open out the economy in a responsible, prudent, and pragmatic way, right? Given that there's uncertainty about the vaccine. So the models and the application that we have built is essentially going to provide that in a scientifically accurate and valid way. Next, please. So this is the what, why, who is affected, when will this affect, and where does this affect. So when it will affect, when you have unlock policies to be formulated by decision makers, it's in a vacuum now, because nobody wants to be the person to open up early, or if you delay it, it's going to be, it's going to be an impact. Next slide, please. So our approach is based on this Levitt model proposed by our Nobel laureate, Professor Michael Levitt. He has used this on Hubei data and some other countries like Italy and all. So our what we have done with that is we enhanced this to fit a power law regression to it. He had done a straight line fit, so and predict the peak using the curves, but that is not that predictive. So our power law regression was a better estimator of the peak date, as we're going to show. And we believe that power laws are bound in nature than straight lines. Next, please. We have done this for USA and India using the data that is available country-wise and state-wise. As you can see, this is live data. We have a prototype running already. For India, Maharashtra, it is like it says it's October 7th. And as you can see, the R-square score, which is the coefficient of differentiation, it's a high. It's about 74, 0.74. So it's accurate to about, you can believe it up to about 74%, right? Next, please. So as you can see, even on the linear side, the linear equation that you get, it has got lesser predictability than the power law one, right? And as you can see, the data is up to date till as of yesterday. Okay, next. That's for Gujarat and Maharashtra. And also we have built a responsive site, which is easily consumable via mobile phone too, in a mobile form factor. It's easy to see. And next slide, please. And so our uniqueness is we extended the model to a power law regression fit. We did some more trials on it to make the data into a natural log scale, so we get better accuracies in the prediction rate. We found a 5 to 10% increase in the prediction rate, better UI, UX, it's plug and play, so we can put any country's data and we're good to go. We are an API first based application, so it can easily be embedded and consumed by downstream applications for decision support or any other applications that need this kind of data. It can be easily scaled. We can go to any granular level, to district-wise, village level, if needed. The data is available, obviously. This is our roadmap where we have gone. This is the next phase where we've done some work. Where we want to use next slide, please. We're going to use a univariate generative adversarial network. As some of you guys know, it is It is latest in AI and ML. So we already, so it has got better, some more features like data augmentation for simulators. And it can also predict multiple peaks, which is not there in any current models as of today. All right. So these are two main things which can be done through GANs, which nobody, I'm not seeing it in, we're not seeing it in any literature or current research work going on this. Next, please.
You are over the time now.
Right, so it's done. So this is our artifacts from our GAN model. This has to be improved, obviously. Next, please. It's almost done. So business model is a service, API-based, the standard way of talking to governments, corporations, and companies. Next, please. Yep. So this is our team who are responsible for building this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Akash.
Hi, Akash.
I think you've made a very technical presentation, but do you know who, I know you mentioned very briefly in the end that the government and you can go upstream and downstream with this information. Do you know, do you have a sense of who your ultimate customer will be?
Primarily, we have been talking to also government. We had the initial idea also came from talking to bureaucrats at chief secretary level. They say that the government needs this kind of information to plan to open out the economy. So do a sat with CEOs. They want to bring their people in into their offices, even partly, and they have no. There's no guidance for that, right? Is it safe? Is it correct? Is it how do I even deploy my resources in preparation for the peak, right? Once after the peak it goes down, so I can deploy.
So no, I get that. Sorry, I know we're all less on time. So it'll be a one-time buy, right? Because once the peak is done and once everything is over,
so
then why would we buy the same thing from you again?
That is in our business slide which we flashed through. This same model can be used for other outbreaks that's going to come up. That's exactly what we found. Once the peak is over, this app is of no use. But the infrastructure, the modeling that we have done, and the whole structure stack that we have built can be definitely be used for other outbreaks for detecting, influenza, flu, other viral outbreaks. Doesn't have to be a pandemic. It could be also a localized, outbreak, and you want to know how to deploy your resources for it and when to do it. So that's there in the business model slide. So it's not limited just to COVID. This can be done for predicting the peak of anything that is useful for you to know when it's going to peak.
So is the model assuming that the behavior is fairly similar no matter where the geographic locations are? Like, because we do see variations between countries, right? So is the model basically the same model for all the countries, or are you changing the parameters for different countries?
Right. No. We develop we do a power law fit for each region, right? Based on the data. It's not like a single model. It is like the underlying mechanism is the same, but the output is different for different. That's why we do it by geography region. So the more granular you can get, it's hyper locality, right? India could be peaking at so and so time, but I live in Hyderabad, Telangana. I want to know in Telangana how when it's going to be, right?
Right. So what would it be like? Could you give me one or two example of your input variables? Like what are your input data?
Oh, our input bases are based on the number of cases. Basically, it's a cut down model of something called as a Gram-Pets function. But we basically use number of cases and cumulative cases and cumulative deaths, and plot the curve for it. So the basic inputs are cumulative deaths and cases, and compare them both.
Are you using the time variable at all, or like between cases?
The time variable is on the x-axis, which is the time since first death.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So the x-axis is that, y-axis is the Levitt model score, and then our advanced roadmap is for the GAN model, which is going to be much better, more better.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just add to Sabrina's question, please? Which is exactly her question on input parameters, because the big problem in India is that our case data is wrong. Like our case data is
right.
Let me be diplomatic about this. Is a gross estimate of actual.
Yes, we have faced that one too, and people have prima facie said, "Hey, you know what? This data is not that good." But from the paper that Professor Levitt had written, it is the model has got high fidelity to underreporting population sizes. population sizes, geographies, and what we have done is only built on top of his work. So his original paper, he has been validated in many places. So he reports about it is resilient to underreporting, population sizes, even the geography or the areas. So and he has tested it across many countries, from Hubei data when it started off in China. Hubei, Italy is what I remember. I don't know if it said some other countries too. So we took that as a starting point and improved it. So that is our unique approach, and we have a roadmap for improving it further to get into those things.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, team 5. Now team 6, please unmute.
Hey, hi.
I fixed my computer. Yeah.
Can you see me? Yep.
This is team 6, right?
Yes, good luck. Please
Okay, start. Hello, everyone. My team name is COVID-19 Hawksbuster. Next. Next. A few days ago, I shared this news with one of my friends. I got it from Facebook. A few minutes after sending this, I realized that it is actually fake news. And I replied him. It was actually paragliders jumping, but the damage was already done. He has already shared with a couple of his friends, and he has put up in his office group with his boss in there. So after that incident, I felt guilty and I started collecting all fake news and started researching it. Next. Next. The existing solutions have limitations. They have a limited number of journalists and reviews to decode this fake news. They don't take an end-to-end approach. They decode the news and ensure that it is removed from, they don't ensure that it is removed from social media. So that is where the problem lies. Most of the platforms work on generous donations. Next. From their readers. In my opinion, it is a poor operational model. So the reviewers are underpaid. The business model needs to change. Decoding fake news is not charity. It's a professional work that can create opportunity in investigative journalism. So you can see here, 65% of the news that is being shared is actually fake news. Next. That is where our solution comes into picture, a crowdsourced portal which encourages people through incentives to come forward and debunk COVID-19 related fake news that is circulating in the social media. And we will use this popular fake news and show it in Arogya Setu app. And we also developed a prototype called hawksnews.info, where we have collected all COVID-19 related Hawks news and deployed it over the weekend. Next. Okay, so we have done few things. We have already crowdsourced host debunking portal, leveraging the power of citizens to solve the problem with incentives. And the proposed ones include social media apps. We will use an API to connect it to our repository to do a real-time check. IoT app will be integrated within it. Crawlers will scan social media for potential fake news for review by our volunteers. Next. So this is the platform that we built. So people come here and they check for, they debunk the fake news and publish it. And that goes for a review. I mean, the review status will be pending. We will publish it after that, and it will be instant devised. Next. So this is the Arogya Setu app integration. Next. So this is the mobile version of it. Next. So we make social media companies to pay for checking Hawks News using our API. We use this money to fund incentives for people decoding Hawks News in the form of lottery tickets from Government of India and Government of Kerala, Abu Dhabi and Abu Dhabi Big Ticket to ensure transparency. Our customer segments include users, social media sites, and CSR volunteers. Just like they clean beaches and surroundings as part of CSR initiative, they clean up news from social media. Next, this is the last slide. This is my team, and we come from a diverse background. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
Steve, so to clarify, it is a secondary site to the news originator site.
Yes, so it's like a debunking portal similar to Alt News, Boom Live, Snops, right? It's a site similar to that, but it is powered, the content is powered by the crowd. It's crowdsourced model. So people debunk these Hawks newses and submit it, and they get incentivized for doing that.
And so with that, with one of the customers being the end users being the news agency themselves, why would they then drive away traffic to another site? And then second question is, how do we reach critical mass for those providing inputs to that debunking site?
Yeah, so to answer your first question, right, why should news media focus on this? So here, most of the news reporting channels, right, like Art News and all, they use their in-house reviewers to review this content. And that is not working out because the number of fake news that is getting generated is very high. And they can't rely on these people alone. And as a result, they are underpaid. And most of these sites that you see, they are funded by donations. So that business model needs to change by using this crowdsourcing model. So we will build a repository of this COVID-19 related Hawks news, and we will sell this as an API to social media sites like Facebook, Google, and Twitter, who then checks their facts, their newses, or the post for the truth, and they will be charged for that.
Hi, this is Akash. So typically when I see something as glaring as, the bodies being dumped from the helicopter, I'll just basically go out and do a Google search quickly, and it pretty much tells me whether it's a hoax or whether it's true, and in the first few searches, right? So that's a very frictionless behavior of getting my news checked, right? You're saying I need to get into Arogya Setu app and then check if that news is fake or true. How do I search for the news for that particular piece of article that's come there? If it's a video, how do I search for it? Do you have any sense of that?
Yeah. So I'll tell you. So if somebody is sharing it in WhatsApp or Facebook, they can use it to directly share it with within the app or within the portal to check if that news is fake or not. So that is one way of checking it.
Sorry, how would you do that? If it's on WhatsApp, then how do I do it directly?
So that is one of our proposed concepts. So where you just share it, and using with you can check with the portal whether that news is fake or not.
So there will be a WhatsApp number. So there will be a WhatsApp number for the portal, and then you share it with them. Is that what it is?
And yeah. So the main concept is to build that repository. Using that repository, using our WordPress API, they can fact check these news. And this will be free for users, but for social media companies, we charge them.
No, so I'm still a little confused, right? So if I get a message like this, and if it's a video, I share the video with this WhatsApp number, which is Hoax News.
No. So you just while sharing itself, you get an option. If you install our app, you will get an option.
So I have to install an app. I have to install an app to do that. Okay, but that takes, like Steve said, you need critical mass to get to that stage where you have an app and everybody else has an app. How do you think you're going to get that?
Yeah. So one more question that you raised is Arogya Setu app, right? In Arogya Setu apps, we are only showing the popular COVID-19 related fake news that is circulating in the market. So that it's just like before going to the examination, you know the questions. So just before seeing this fake news, you're already familiar with what is circulating in the market. So to create awareness. And Arogya Setu has more than 100 million plus users, right?
Right. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next team is number 7. Please unmute the person who is going to present. Let me know when you're ready.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes.
So I'll start now. India is a country of diversity, and same is reflected in the fake news circulated around the country. It comes in all sizes and flavors. Next slide. Experts have started using fancy words like infodemic to describe this situation, which in my opinion is a huge understatement. Though I often enjoy these bizarre forwards, but it is high time to consider the mayhem they cause and the people who have literally lost their lives. In all this chaos, people are often left wondering whom to believe. Next slide. So, how does this problem start? A person receives a random message on social media. They start sharing it without even thinking about the authenticity of the source. And this loop continues. Next slide. Our major target is WhatsApp with its 400 million active Indian users. With no checks for credibility and authenticity of messages, it makes it the breeding ground for all the misinformation. Checking the message source online may be possible, but it's definitely cumbersome for many. With the WhatsApp integrated artificial intelligence enabled bot infrastructure, the message can be forwarded straight to a bot within just 2 clicks, making it as viable as blindly forwarding the message to other contacts. Our bot, in turn, will have data mined from reputed sources like the WHO and the ICMR. The forward is checked for authenticity as well as credibility of source and messages the user, citing its reliability. Next slide, please. We will use web crawlers to scrape official data and research papers, train our deep learning and NLP model using this data, and check for authenticity of user messages. We, as a team, have already created PyXPDF, one of the fastest Python PDF parsers in the entire world, which will help us accelerate this lengthy process manifold. Next slide, please. The messages forwarded by the users, apart from being checked for authenticity, will be used to further improve our database, for which we will reward them with in-app coins, badges, and personalized links which they can share on their social medias to attract other people to our platform and increase our reach. These badges will act as medals and proofs of their contribution towards a corona and misinformation-free world. Next slide, please. Starting with winning the MIT COVID-19 challenge, we plan to implement our idea and test it within the next 2 months and release it for public use before the end of November, followed by expansion to other popular social media platforms. Next slide, please. Not stopping only at the COVID-19 front, we want to scale it to all kinds of misinformation. We believe citizen journalism is an idea whose time has come. Next slide, please. Thank you for allowing us to pitch our ideas at this. Thank you.
Thank you, Team 7. Q&A for the mentors, for the judges.
Yeah. Hi, Karan, Akash.
Hello, sir.
Hi. There are tons of bots available today that do this. How are you going to propagate your bot as the one that everyone should?
We have explored many bots in many websites, and we even found that WHO has and Karnataka government has a WhatsApp bot. But the biggest problem is all of these bots are option oriented. So you have 3 options, and you can choose what the problem is. We don't want the bots telling us what the problem we are facing is. In our application, we can forward the news, and they'll check it. We'll have leaderboards. They'll have incentives. So I think making it more interactive, it will make users involved. As you can see in Uber also, people have ratings and drivers have ratings. This motivates better service for all. So leaderboards definitely encourage people, and in-app purchases, we hope to have in-app purchases if we can get enough funding. And I think making it interactive and involving will help it be a step above the other apps.
What will I purchase?
And the bigger
No, sir, in kind not like purchase, it's like the badges. The badges show that like gold badge, silver badge, it helps show that you are an active part of the app, but you're also helping fight misinformation. So you can propagate it, you can show it off on a social media. It is definitely needed.
Okay, thank you.
Also, sir, I want to point out that all the other bots only show us the information, and they are not combating the misinformation. They only show us the only readily available option, that you should maintain social distancing, you should wear masks. But I don't think there is any other bot that helps you find out if the information you are using is correct or not.
Got it.
So just one question. This is Kritika. So do you does the user have to counter? So if I get a forward that's fake,
Yes, ma'am.
do I earn points by doing the research and countering it, or do I, if I use it and check? I couldn't understand the how.
Yes, ma'am. So basically, with WhatsApp safety restrictions and privacy restrictions, we can't check if a person is forwarding messages to others. What we can check is if the person is checking it for us. If we verify some fake news or even authentic news, we knows that the person is interested. He is showing motivation and is showing initiative. So we'll provide them with say 1 or 2 points like this. So and the badges will be at a high number of points. So we encourage them to be more and more motivated, and we provide badges and points for helping us improve our database so that it performs better going forward, and also for helping fighting misinformation.
Then sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding.
No issues.
If I've got the news from somebody and I know that
Yes,
it's fake, right? So then
yes,
I get the points because I checked.
Yes,
and
we thought about it. So what we feel is creating a point upper limit for every day. So the user just can't, write anything and forward it to it, and it will not be available, and they get points. So we will place a point upper limit, not a news checking. They can verify any number of news, but say 10 points it is the maximum. So the user doesn't generate their own fake or just copy paste to get extra points.
I would like to.
I think what Pritika is asking is
that.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm answering that. Whenever someone gets a forward like this, he should forward that message to the bot, which we have made, not forward it to his or her friends.
No, I think what Pritika is asking is that how will she be? What kind of how will you give her a badge? Is it because she's just forwarding the message, or if she has to? One second, let me finish. If she has to corroborate and say whether this news is fake or verified, where does she have to go to verify that?
So she has to.
Right,
The bot
Pritika?
will be
Is that?
present.
Yeah, I think my question is, how are you stopping the news, right? So if I get a message and then you're saying that what I need to do is I need to forward it to the bot because I care, and I get a point because I care to verify my news.
Yes.
But then the problem is you need to, like Steve asked for the last one, how do you reach that critical mass so that everyone is then forwarding it to the bot and checking whether it's right? I don't go back and tell the person who sent it to me.
Okay. So ma'am, basically what we're trying to do is in the starting, we need to get some users in the initial stages so that we can get enough reach for digital marketing, for offline campaigning, so that we can get enough reach so that people show it on social media, so that if we get more and more people. So for initial stages, we have our colleges, we have our localities, we will go offline and we'll use our social media. Everyone has immense social media reach nowadays, be it Instagram, be it LinkedIn, be it Facebook, anything. So we think we can get the initial few users, we can get them sharing, and if we can get that, we can get a huge community. And moreover, WhatsApp has 400 million, that's 40 crore people, and that's much more than majority of population of any of the country. So I think it has huge potential, and as we say that it is not just limited to COVID-19. After the pandemic is over, this idea is not obsolete. We can use it. We can use it for sports. We can use it for politics. We can use it for general information. We just need to change the database. That is around a week of work, and then it is viable for all.
Thanks.
Yeah, so basically we want everyone to be a reporter.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm confused. Do you become the reporter, or do you just forward it and get your answer? That's what I was confused about. But
No,
I know
a reporter, basically a reporter's job is not just to get the news to others, it is to get verified news to others. So what we want people to do is to get this news verified and then forward it. And if it is not, and it is fake, then do not forward it. The people take initiative, and people do take initiative. If they are given incentive, and I believe that, we thought, I personally have this problem because I'm a very regular user of COVID-19 news. I check it almost every morning because everyone is waiting for it to get over. So what I see is the articles I see might be contradicted in the very next article, or it can be contradicted the next day or a week later. So we don't know what to believe and what not to. So our that may change. What we call it, what the truth is right now, it may not be the truth about a week later, like COVID-19 being airborne and not. So it is good to verify the information according to that time repeatedly, and not just be satisfied with what you have learned.
Got it. Thanks, Karan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? The next team is number 8. Please unmute and let me know when you are ready.
I'm
Team
ready.
number 8.
Arundhati, are you ready?
Yes, I'm here, ready.
Okay, so we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, judges. We're Team Hoaxcrux, and we're planning on battling in misinformation on social media. Next slide, please. The issue that we're trying to tackle is what is referred to by the WHO as an infodemic. Now, in a country such as India, where there are 376 million active social media users, we have a high susceptibility to fake articles. A perfect example would be that a rumor spread that chicken spreads coronavirus, and this resulted in the industry incurring a 2,000 crore loss, according to the Economic Times. As such, next slide, please. Our aim is to come up with a solution that's able to help individuals in India who may have access to the internet, but do not have scientific acumen to prove the awareness and also create awareness. And we're doing so by providing an internet extension that's able to verify articles on social media from a variety of trustworthy sources. Next slide, please. So we did do a competitor analysis. And if you can see on point 5, there are many websites that do provide similar features. They do provide data scraping. However, one of our biggest helpful factors is that we are a plug and play extension. So unlike a lot of other platforms where you would have to say install an app or anything else, as soon as you install this plugin, you're good to go. Apart from that, we do also have a built-in meme generator that calls out fake articles to the users, as well as an interesting NLP-based scoring format. We've also ensured that we have a process to be able to report articles for takedowns using a closed loop feedback mechanism. Arundhati will explain how the platform works now. Thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. So this is to explain how the Horcrux works. Suppose you were to access an article which said that a minister claims Papad helps fight COVID-19. Hoaxcrux would search keywords and queries in this case, which are Papad and fight COVID-19. It would identify that the context is medical. So it checks if the news has medical nuances of COVID-19. It would compare with the news available, check to ensure this news is not machine learning generated, and check if it is relevant. And then the article will be cross-verified with the scientific database to check if the information is true or false on the basis of whether or not it has scientific evidence. Next slide, please. Once we know that if the article is true, the algorithm generates a summary and a translation to a regional language along with an authenticity score depending on the scientific database match. Else, a link to refute this information will be shared. So we have a detailed architecture which is there in the appendix. Next slide, please. What you see on the screen is tentatively what the product would look like with a cloud-based implementation. The accessed article is checked against the database, and the result is then made available to the user in the form of a pop-up. So you don't need to access an altogether separate website or application. It's just a pop-up, and we're literally raising red flags. Next slide. This is an example of meme generation, which is also one of our key ideas for revenue generation. We want to make the true news viral and not false news. Next slide, please. So we're a young and diverse team with experience ranging from biotechnology and data science to graphic design. And this unified our vision for a web extension and helped us ensure that it is implementable end to end. Thank you, and we await your feedback.
Thank you. You were over the limit. Good luck. Mentors, judges. Why I have been working with the mentors for 2 days. I'm sorry, judges.
No worries. I guess you guys are all Harry Potter fans, huh? With a name like Hoaxcrux. Okay, so I get this part, but how are you going to get people to start using your solution? I get the tech part of it.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. So I think that's where the meme format for us started coming into effect. So we do have a team of really big graphic designers, and something that we really wanted to do was first establish the social media presence via creation of memes. And I think that that's a good way to get a following. After that, the reason that we considered doing an extension was so that our target audience is, again, people who are not very technologically savvy, but do use social media. So we wanted to use our memes to establish a social media presence. And then from there, we wanted to pick up on creating a presence.
Thank you.
Just one quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to do this across languages, or is it just in English for now?
So as mentioned by Arundhati, we are currently using English as our language, but after having filtered the data, we do have the option to translate the explanation into different regional languages. Because there are often times when people in rural villages may get an article that's in English and believe it's true just because it is in English. But by clicking on this extension, it'll get processed, and then they can choose to translate it into a language of their choosing in an easy to understand format.
Also, we feel that this will help create a regional language scientific database. Most of the scientific journals are there in English only, be it WHO Bulletin Board or the ICMR or PubMed or Google Scholar or anything. So that actually this web extension would bridge the gap between people who can speak English and who can't.
And I'll also add really quickly, in the interest of time, we didn't speak about our profit analysis or anything in the presentation. However, everything is present in the appendix, should there be any questions.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have team 10 next.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, okay, then I'll start. So hi, my name is Meghna and we are The Viral Truth. And today we bring to you a one-click solution to identifying misleading information on the internet and beyond. Next slide, please. So misinformation, as we all know, leads to the spread of false cures. It leads to panic, economic impact on a lot of industries, small-scale businesses, and socio-political issues between minorities and other groups. For example, we see in this picture a situation where migrants who got false information from the internet were made to overcrowd in public places during the COVID time, which is very dangerous. Next slide, please. So India as a population has 326.1 million users of the internet. Next, please. Next slide. Which fall under 3 categories. So we have the rural, semi-urban, and urban. And with our digital platform and one-click solution, we would want to target the semi-urban, urban, as well as rural communities. But due to the nature of the product, urban and semi-urban would be the biggest target. Next slide, please. So what is the viral truth? So as I said, it is one-click access. So all you need to do is just press a button on your phone. We also have a reward system in place that rewards identifying of false facts. And then it is multilingual, and we also have a built-in voice assistant. Next slide, please. So this is the prototype. So let me walk you through. Now, if you're looking through Twitter and you've come across a tweet which you think is questionable, all you have to do is just click the side of the button, and then the AI bot, what it does is that it goes through who and other known trusted sources and will help you scan your screen and tell you whether what you're looking at is true or false. So over here, we see that the AI bot tells us that it is misleading and also gives us the option to report, and it gives you an additional link that will tell you give you more information about that. And you can use this on any social media platform. Next, please. So in case you're not on the internet and you read something in a newspaper which you don't think is true, you can obviously check it with this AI bot also. All you have to do is take a picture with your camera phone and scan the screen, and you can, again, know whether it's true or false. And we can see this paper is in Hindi, so we also have multilingual function. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned before, we have a reward system where every time you find misleading information and report it, you get points. And these points can be used to redeem vouchers and gifts on Amazon and Google Pay, which we hope to achieve in later stages. And this makes fact-checking a habit and kind of encourages the user. Next slide, please. So as I said, we have a voice assistant where, okay, you don't want to look at anything. You just want to know if something's true or false. All you have to do is just pick up your phone, ask, and the AI bot will tell you what the answer is. Next slide, please. So this is the timeline that we developed, and we hope to have in 2 months a complete product that we can launch and then talk to sponsors. We also have a working video of our prototype in the extra slides. So we couldn't fit the time constraints. Next slide, please. So this is our team, and thank you so much for listening, and we are open to questions.
Meghna, next slide.
Yeah, next slide. Okay, right.
Ma'am, actually there was supposed to be an extra slide which had a working prototype demo video of a 30 seconds.
I'm sorry, but the videos didn't come up in Google Slides when we transferred, and you were already after the 3 minutes. You were 4 minutes already.
Okay.
So this is going to be, hi, this is Akash.
Hi.
Hello, sir.
This is going to be an app that I would need to download, right? It's very, it's a bot to download on my, it's going to be native to both iOS and Android. And
Yeah,
then
it's gonna be native.
More like a cam scanner thing. It scans it, and so if it's a newspaper clipping, I can scan it like a cam scanner, and it tells me whether it's true or false. Or if it's on my Twitter app, will it work when the app is open, or do I need to take a screenshot of the app of the Twitter?
So when you're on the app and like on Twitter and you see a tweet, all you have to do is press the side button on your phone, and then the AI bot pops up, scans the screen, tells you it's true. So
okay, all right.
Yeah.
So why this approach? What we are doing is we are trying to make an habitual change to scan the information before sending it. So how we do that is by making it a one-step process, which won't involve much time in compared with other bots. And also, like we told, we are taking the sources from we are taking the information from trusted sources. And then we have a grading system. In a grading system, there are some tasks to complete. As you complete tasks, you get rewards, and the rewards can be anything. That could be a discount coupon from Myntra, or something that will make users involvement in this application. As in the last time seminar, Shraddha ma'am from mystory.com told that there are a lot of applications, but no one can make the behavior changes. Yeah, there are bots, they can find the news, or even they can filter it, but how to make a habit? So we are trying to make it as an habit by making it simpler and making all the sources available, and by giving appreciation to user when they scan the news as well as the points. And they have a daily task. In daily task, talking with assistant about mental stress is also a included task.
So one of the questions I have is basically around the implementation. That when you were working with that much information, especially data, the whole data management side of it becomes very expensive, right? So just wondering if you kind of thought about how to actually, you're talking about the app development and the algorithm, talk about more on the nitty-gritty side of the house, which is actually housing the data or getting this text data from the proper sources, or they're receiving feedback, right? Have you thought about what kind of solutions you might be using, or?
So how this happens is what our architecture is. Our architecture involves an AI bot which is GPT-3 or an AI agent. What GPT-3 will do that it will just contextually search information present on legitimate websites such as WHO, NIH by scraping it. And even if the website is changed or the new facts are added, it would be automatically scraped and fed into GPT-3. And GPT-3 will contextually search the information that or the user query that user asked. So data management wouldn't be a huge factor, but just by looking at the scope as it. But if someone helps us by providing the information, we would have a huge scope and huge diversity of people using this application. Not for only coronavirus fake news, but many more to come.
So when you're getting information from, say, NIH and CDC, and that's in English, are you also translating that in the same?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are also translating it. And even the assistant was our main purpose, that even someone in rural area can also tap the volume button, because obviously I have relatives in my rural areas and they are smart enough to dial a number and even make a call or a text. So they can probably easily ask questions on this. And how the information spread through in rural areas is like through words. Even if someone young generation living in rural area house uses our application, he'll spread the correct information to his family, and the word would spread.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
I think we are over the time. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Next team is 11.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'll start.
You can start anytime as when you
Thank
say.
you. I'll start now. Hi, I'm Mahita Salvaraj. I'm representing my team, IO111. We think that one of the most main problems generated by COVID-19 is that the social stigma, especially in a country like India. Approximately, there are about 9 lakh people getting tested for COVID-19 each day. But on the contrary, there are at least 2 lakh symptomatic people who fail to get tested because of the fear of discrimination and false stereotypes that has arisen among the people. They are the silent spreaders. Even those who recovered from COVID-19 face social isolation in India. That is, they are considered to be dangerous when they head back to work. Some frontline health workers are also asked to vacate their houses by their community, highlighting a false prejudice that they could be the root of spread. So we came up with a solution which is not really technical yet, but it includes information, empowerment, and enlightenment. The best way to counter stigma is by educating people with medically proved facts in person. As we know that the affected population is evidently smaller than that of the unaffected population in India, the need to communicate the prevention of stigma to the unaffected is important. So
Sorry to interrupt. I don't think the slides are moving.
Oh, I'm sorry. Next slide. No, the next slide. Hello, next slide. Yeah, the solution is that we would like to collect educated volunteers from all over India. So who from the medical domain, including medical and paramedical students who could go to the targeted groups, that is public and private sector companies, and educate the employees
who are affected and unaffected, the need to prevent social stigma so that they could provide a working environment without social stigma and discrimination. And they would encourage people to take more tests and when necessary and not hide from illness. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you go back to the previous slide, please? I just want to see the solution. Was it I kind of, I think between the slides
since it's
and
a social problem, there is
yeah.
not much of a technical solution like an app or something. We could start by spreading the news widely through social media, and in each state, volunteers from the medical domain, like medical students and paramedical students, can get trained to personally go and talk in public and private sector companies, because they are that is where people are having fear of losing jobs because of social stigma.
So how do you intend to get that messaging across? How do you intend to how do you plan to go about doing it? Because I'm a little unclear as to, I mean, the thought is really good, much needed, but what's the plan of action around that?
We would start by sending sending a poster through social media, spreading it across social media, and then we could have volunteers in each state.
I'm a team member. I just want to add that our proposal is three layers. As you can see, is we provide good information, scientifically valid information to the public, but also we want to empower those who have been diagnosed of COVID to form a community support so that they feel they're not alone. So those to reduce the consequence of social stigma. And then we also want to enlighten the public about how it doesn't do any of us a favor if we keep the stigma going. So what we're trying to do is to tackle a social mentality. And we feel the best way to steer the social mentality is not necessarily always depending on the quality of the information, but we have to change the public mindset of how to process those information. And this is why, for example, we designed one poster. Can you flip the slides to the next slides, please? This is just one of the example we want to show. These could be the kind of poster that you see in public space where people are reminded that they need to be healthy and they need to be rational so as to protect their families, and together with responsible citizenship, we can be stronger together. And it's these type of appeal to the public's rational sentiment that we want to promote. Of course, we're going to rely on existing channels of social media channels, and I think the point is there are a lot of channels that are out there. We just want to design factually correct and emotionally relevant information to put out there. So it should be very low cost, and it should have a very big impact.
Yes, so I'll just echo Akash. I think you guys have, this is critical. I think the one thing that would be good to clarify is, just thinking through the steps, what it entails, how you get the information out, the mechanism is what's important. But I think as an issue, it's a critical issue for sure.
I think it would be more about a mass comm sort of a solution where you're kind of bombarding across all channels, across all channels, offline and online, and letting them know about the stigma or not being a stigma. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Team 12. Team 12.
Yeah, we're here.
You need to speak more, a little louder.
Am I audible?
That's better.
Right. So can we start then?
Anytime.
Hello, everyone. We are Team 12 and next slide. A disease like COVID-19 can have catastrophic effects on a densely populated country like India if not addressed well at the right time. We are trying to address the problem of lack of information that is plaguing close to 50% of our population because they do not have internet access. Next. Our platform Suraksha Didi is a helpline that offers free, offline, and trustworthy COVID-19 information to all. Suraksha Didi enhances integration by using AI-powered language recognition technologies. It optimizes information access by minimizing human consultants, and it is a private, non-stigmatized service. Next. With a quick sneak peek into the console, next, we present our detailed business model. Our value proposition emphasizes on independence, free customers, and simple information, engaging both formal and informal local authorities to reach offline communities. And our revenue focuses on data insights advisory to private and public healthcare sectors, philanthropic organizations, and endorsing medicines and vaccinations approved by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the likes. Next. The marketing strategy in the rural offline environment is focused on employing local influencers and seeking local administration help, establishment of partnerships with self-empowered women communities, self-help groups, manufacturers, and pharmacies. And so the helpline is widespread amongst the people. And looking at the media and outreach, mass media initiatives such as radio, TV, and other outreach programs establish a strong foundation for the Suraksha Didi service. Next. A beachhead market under consideration is Vaishali district in Bihar, which is having 3,500 COVID cases and contributes highest to Bihar's spike in the cases recently. Though only 20% of the cases are fatal, the COVID-19 spread is detrimental. With the lowest literacy rate at 61% and correlated smartphone and internet access at 27%, the use and impact of an innovative helpline like Suraksha Didi will be felt most in such cases. We believe extrapolation of such a case to other locations is both practical and feasible. Next. With a diverse team coming from different backgrounds, we are also very thankful for the opportunity that has been given to us. Next. And we welcome everyone to try Suraksha Didi, the info line, which will help us to bridge the gap for those who don't have access to internet. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Perfect timing.
Thanks, guys. I'll go ahead. I guess it's becoming a pattern. I'm the first. I always ask the first question. No, this is really needed, guys, because I think most folks really focus on smartphones, and not necessarily everyone has access to the internet, especially in the rural areas that you just talked about. One thing is the IVR will have to rest on certain set of data sources. Do you have that identified already?
Right, so we do have them identified. First sources that we're looking at is like the World Health Organization, the ministries related to Government of India, such as the Family and Health Welfare, the Health and the Family Welfare, my apologies. And then we have Department of Ayush, then CDC, all of these different organizations, as well as also the other fact-checking organizations in the town.
Do you have you thought about integrating with these guys like Vodafone and Jio and stuff? Because when you see that automated ringtone that these days talks about the COVID-19 thing, maybe you could be integrated into something like that where people, there's a messaging already, so your outreach to people can be a lot more.
Definitely, we are looking into those networks also, and we are also trying to target if we can go through the BSNL, MTNL kind of networks, which have more outreach to such places, and also the more of mass media kind of an approach as well, together with them, because our target is mostly looking into the basic phone services rather than the smartphone ones, because for this reason, as we are trying to look into marginalized as well as those who don't have access to internet, most importantly at this stage.
I just want to add the point that we're also targeting regional TRAI, that is Telecom Regulation Authorities of India, so that whenever we sense traffic analysis, we can identify who are the major players in that particular region and demography. So that we would be integrating with the right set of people.
Sorry, could you just clarify? Do you mean that you'll be able to identify where the calls are coming from and where I didn't understand the last comment.
So the question which Akash asked about connecting with Vodafone or any other operators, right? So regional TRAIs, Telecom Regulatory Authorities of India. So we'll deal with them based on the majority network that is existing in a particular region.
No, it's like Akash said. I mean, I think this is very important because most people don't have smartphones, and so this is a super important issue. You guys.
Thank you so much.
And I think one thing you could also do is, it's just a suggestion, you could also kind of give incentives like free recharge or something, like a 50 rupees recharge or something to check on this, so that you can get more and more people to use it. Plus you also build the database of people who are potentially checking in and where they are and where they're located and so on and so forth. Just a thought.
Definitely. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I think we can go to the next team, which is team number 16.
Hello?
Yes. Let me know when you are ready.
Okay, yeah, we're ready. Hello, we are InfoTrust. Next slide, please. I was forwarded an article on home remedies of coronavirus, but how do I know whether this is fake or not? With the growing number of COVID-19 cases in India, how can we tackle the problem of lack of communication and miscommunication? Next slide, please. We have a simple solution, InfoTrust. We have three main aims: to build a go-to platform for easy accessibility to genuine news during this pandemic, to improve the reach of authentic information, and to combat the spread of fake news and misinformation regarding COVID-19. Next slide, please. The initial plan is to create a chatbot. So how will this work? So the user inputs an article they have received onto our platform, which then searches through a database of global and local news and gives its approval, which then classifies it into three categories, whether it is true, fake, or suspicious. Accordingly, it will give links to relevant sources and related to the article. Next slide, please. What makes our platform different? As India is a multilingual country, our platform allows you to select a language based on your mother tongue. You will have access to a chatbot providing fact-checking and access to experts column for advice. We aim to use our platform as a scientific database for healthcare articles in the post-COVID world. Next slide, please. This is an example of how it will work through WhatsApp. The WhatsApp user base in India is between 250 to 300 million and is a major source of fake news spreading. The article that I have received can be then sent to this chatbot, which will identify whether it is fake. As you can see, it has identified that it is fake, and it has also provided links to relevant, reliable sources based on the article sent. Next, please. In our initial stages, we'll be building our database with reliable articles and start to work on the chatbot. While our technical team is doing this, we can approach media houses and get crowdfunding. We then plan on releasing the chatbot for WhatsApp, which will generate traction for our platform. This will generate revenue through the media sources, and then we will advertise our platform through webinars. Then we can further update our platform. Next slide, please. We have a 4-stage strategy. We have covered the first two, and through updating, we aim to increase the number of experts by advertising our platform in webinars such as by the WHO and reliable government resources such as the ICMR. We have built this with the future in mind. We don't expect a global pandemic to last forever, and we will ensure that this platform is sustainable. To do this, we will create a scientific database with access to many healthcare articles, not only relating to COVID-19. Next slide, please. We have a diverse team motivated to implement InfoTrust. Thank you.
How do you plan to make this more sort of go viral so that people use this more and more? Given that there are quite a few solutions out there which are sort of chatbot focused, how do you plan to sort of differentiate between them and get people to start using this?
Hi Akash, my name is Bhamatra. So in the roadmap, we could see that we are in the initial period, we have a plan of crowdfunding as well as going to media sources for their funding as well. Because through media sources, we are giving them traction by by giving our platform to them. Plus, if they are there, they will advertise us as well. So it's a barter system there. So that's how we plan to like make it viral, because the in a country like India, the media has a lot of eyeballs on them right now.
Got it. Thanks.
And I'm sorry if I missed it, but is this an app I install, or I send this suspicious news to this particular WhatsApp number and tells me what's going on?
So basically, it's a website, it's a portal on cloud, and we'll create a chatbot linked to it. It's an integrated thing with WhatsApp, and we have planned to like update it. We'll go to other platforms as well, but for initial period, we are just focusing on WhatsApp for now. And as the roadmap progresses, we can go and implement in other channels as well.
So if I'm using WhatsApp, for example, and my friend sends me a message with fake news,
yeah,
this will automatically do something, or do I have to do something to prompt it?
You have to just copy the same link or message to the chatbot, and it will then reply you accordingly.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
So it doesn't affect your privacy. It won't take everything you are searching for or chatting about. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I think we can go to the next one if there is no more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Team 17, please.
Hi, I'm from Team 17.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go ahead,
So,
please.
hello everyone. Our idea aims at facilitating a single go-to platform for health infrastructure and facilities for COVID-19 patients. Next slide, please. Yes, you see on the screen, the numbers speak a lot, and government has attempted to arrange a lot of facilities for the patients. But these are the number which have the kind of patients for COVID-19, critical care patients or general inpatients. So let's assume a scenario where if any of the family member, upon learning that one of their member has been affected with COVID, in panic, they wanted for options, but the result is that they are bombarded with multiple sources of information from various sites, word of mouth, etc. And they end up in the hospital and then learn that there are no beds available or facilities available, and this will end up either uncured or worst case scenarios deceased, or unknowingly the spread of infection too. So next slide, please. This happens because of this no trustworthy, reliable single source of information available, and that is the biggest problem. Next slide, please. So we have just found a quote from a news headline which says like there were 100 deaths because of unavailability of the needs, and in other places, over 40% of the capacity is unfilled. Next slide, please. So what we're trying to do here is set up a single source of trustworthy, reliable information, which will provide details about the number of beds available at the nearest hospital, and also provide nearest test centers information, and then patients can go review hospital details. Then if needed, they reserve it, and if needed, they call further for the facility hospital for any additional services. So we are only trying to be bridge between patients and the health centers. Next slide, please. Now that we have seen what we want to do, let's see how we are planning to implement that. One of the major stakeholders in our platforms are hospitals, and most of these hospitals are equipped with hospital information system, which are generally HL7 compliant, which means they are capable of exchanging and integrating with any external system if needed. And we aim to retrieve only the facility information like number of beds or ventilators, and not their electronic information system from their system. Right. In case the hospitals which are not equipped with such systems, we'll allow them to log into our platform and manage their hospital data on a regular basis. And for government hospitals, there are a couple of APIs which are managed by government, like for example, COVID-19 India API, which provides info on case counts, testing status, and the different hospital informations. So we have to integrate with them too, and they are building a strong database day on day. As you see on the other side, our primary stakeholder is end user, like patients. They can access this information based on their location, review the details, and reserve. Yeah, and with all this, you might be thinking this is only applicable for those who have access to technology, but we are also looking at those who doesn't have access to smartphones. So next slide, please. That's where we are planning to build a solution which is based on IVR. Next slide, please. Let's look at a simple workflow from the patient's perspective, where he chooses an IVR route. It will prompt for choosing the language, and then it will request the PIN code, and our system will search the nearest hospital with all the availability information, and then push that to their general phone in the form of SMS. And this also have one of the IVR options as FAQ service, where they could get the reliable answers and the information. Next slide, please. So for your reference, we also provided how the app might look. And so this is just where, thinking from the perspective of the app, we'll show the hospital details, then the available bed details, and the FAQs. Next slide, please. So we are a team of young and enthusiastic people, and we hope to complete this app with 3 to 4 aggressive weeks, given the need and the current situation. Thank you. Olympia,
Hey guys, this is this is Akash. This is a very good concept, but just the aggregation and connecting with all the hospitals, it's almost like a year-long project. I mean, they have all the systems in place, but it's more of a bureaucratic and a regulatory angle, which is the difficult one. How do you plan to mitigate some of that?
Sure. So ideally, our plan was from the private hospital's perspective, right? This will help the hospital to market their hospitals, so we can easily convince them. And most of these systems, as I was saying, they have HL7 compliant, which means we can just go get their API URL and we can bang on integrate and just get the information needed. So the challenge here, what we see is hospitals agreeing to give their information. So if hospitals are agreeing, then it would be less than a week for us to get the needed details from them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No questions from my end. This is an important to be addressed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rika.
Are we all done here? Is that the end?
Yes,
Olympia?
Rakesh, I'm done with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so someone from team 28 can unmute yourself and start with the presentation. Olympia, are you there?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
So hey everyone, Covidnosis team is here to provide you solution to a problem, very serious problem, which we will see in our next slide. Next slide. So, ever since the lockdown in India has been revoked, COVID-19 cases and deaths have seen a dramatic rise, which are caused by, next slide, the myths and misinformation such as these, which spread around among the people, and that is the problem we are addressing to. Next slide. So why is this problem so concerning? On one hand, India is falling short in providing healthcare infrastructure that is required for billions of people. On the other hand, it is not feasible to implement a lockdown since it will affect adversely our economy. Next slide, please. So the solution that we are providing is developing an app to predict the severity of COVID-19 on an individual based on the data that we collect from previous COVID patients. Next slide. So the information that the app will require from the customer is given on the right side, and these are the crucial information parameters that is necessary for app functioning of this app. Next slide. So what are the benefits of this app? So to consumer, it will provide an accurate prediction of COVID-19 illness severity and will help him determining whether it is whether living his home is worthy the risk of catching COVID and affecting yourself. Whereas for authorities, the benefits are it will assure them that right information is reaching to the public, as well as it will provide plenty of jobs. Next slide. So the market size, since this project mainly targets young population, which is working population, and the young population that is below 60 years is over 90% of Indian population. The market here is huge. Next slide. So basically, prototype layout and timeline will be, first of all, we'll be fetching COVID-19 patients data from various sources and use it for analytics and modeling, which combined with full stack app development will give us a fully functional app that can either be used directly by the customers, or it can be used indirectly via an agent that will get information from the customers and provide them the output. Next slide, please. So this is the economic evaluation of the project, and it is estimated that it will cost around 500 million rupees and 6.7 million US dollars. Next slide, please. So this is my wonderful team with whom I've been working with. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. So very quickly, just to kind of run, so the solution you're trying to build an algorithm that will give us the probability of an actual infection on a given person, so that that person can be allowed to either go to school or a restaurant or on an airlines. Is that
exactly? Yeah, it will not provide probability, but it will provide it will not provide whether he will catch it or not. It will provide what are the adversities that he will face once he gets the COVID-19.
Okay.
Yeah, based on his health condition.
Oh, okay. So based on somebody's health condition, so what's the primary benefit of this app then? Like, is it like, say for example, I'm a consumer, why would I use it?
As a consumer, it is necessary to know that because we are misinformed and we even don't have information. Many of people that um, how COVID can affect them in adverse ways. Suppose it has been found out that it can even generate diabetes in you.
Okay.
If so there are so and your based on your previous pre-existing health condition such as heart disease and diabetes, it can provide you obesity, that whether how likely are you to catch. It will also provide based on your family background that you enter in the data, that is it worth, I mean if there are more elder people living, so and you are healthy, it will the worst case prediction it will provide is that exactly that you will lose your family member.
Okay.
Are you sorry, Sabrina, can I go ahead? Oh, okay. Have you thought of taking external parameters?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, now.
Yeah. Okay. So so I input my data and it tells me how susceptible or vulnerable I am to catching the infection. But do you take into account the surrounding set of people and who could be what's the sort of the crowd outside, the number of people who might be infected? How do you intend to get that data? Because that data is not real time.
Yeah, because it will also take your location, and based on the location, it will map in that region how is the COVID-19 stats, as in how cases are rising, how deaths are occurring due to COVID-19.
So it won't be real time though, right? Because that information that
It
exists out
won't be
there is
real
not
time.
real.
It will purely be on the basis of empirical data that we will collect. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the concerns, one of the issues you might run into is when you said on one of your slides that you will get patient's data for your modeling, right?
Yeah.
In order to obtain that can be very difficult because all the patient data is extremely private, and just there's a lot of privacy, concerns that you need to kind of go around. So in case you do not receive that level of, individual patient data, would you still be able to build this?
Yeah, totally agree with. It's very difficult to get exact patient data like their pre-existing health condition, and again it can conflict with data privacy. But the data that we are mainly demanding from the customers is that they provide such data that won't be that doesn't need privacy. And regarding the data collection from old previous COVID patients, we'll purely take it from the government sources and the other reliable sources like National Institute of Health, World WHO, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, etc. And in case we couldn't get complete data on all parameters, how they are affecting, we can consult scientific communities to help us how we can optimize that parameters to give us more realistic prediction.
Okay. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
No, I
Yes.
don't know if I'm audible.
Hello.
Hello?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, this is Margaret Oluwatari. I want to add to what my teammate just said. Actually, we are looking at building an app that can run predictive analysis, and we say we are going to get some data from a lot of database that we have already, and put it through training and all the necessary procedure that is involved in building a model. And when we come to a comfortable model that will actually predict, then we will incorporate it into the app. And this app is not just customer based, it can also go for industry based, like for the government and the health institutions. If they have that on their system, we could possibly quickly run a predictive analysis on a particular patient. Though their confidential information might not be captured immediately, but since it's a building model, and over time, such a platform can be adjusted. So yes, we actually consider the confidentiality of some information, but for a start, we will work with the information on ground first, and over time, it will be fine-tuned, and the app also that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think judges, are we ready for the next team?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so we start in 3, 2, 1. Greetings, we are Team Irrational, behavioral, social, and development scientists and students, and we present our project here. Next slide, please. So we move directly to the issues we seek to tackle, which are basically 3 issues with 1 solution. The lack of reliability of messages, as false rumors permeate WhatsApp chats and vegetable shop conversations. Lack of relatability, as uniform robotic messages by government are sent to a very diverse population. And behavioral fatigue, due to prolonged measures, every extra case feels less important to people. Next slide, please. We have conducted a primary survey and we have found evidence for our claims, where more than 3/4 of the people agreed with our claims. Next slide, please. So what is the root of the problem? Well, the root of the problem is the communal structure. Here, each node is actually a person, and the green personal connections spread, the green personal lines or the connections that you see spread personal, relatable, but often inaccurate information. The government is outside all the circles, sending robotic, alienated, and uniform messages, because of which the people feel that the fake messages are actually more personal and relatable. Next slide, please. Next slide. Again, next slide, please. Okay, so what is the solution that we suggest? We do not suggest any new setup that we need to build from scratch and spread to the people. What we suggest is that simply use the available, relatable, personal, communal network to spread true instead of fake information. All we add to the diagram are the blue lines where the authorities find and directly message the central or the popular orange nodes who further spread the correct information. Gossips of true information, tailored information for particular nodes of each demography. Next slide, please. We have an actual step-by-step implementation plan adapted from development research. Step 1, partner with local governments and NGOs to survey people and ask them who are the people who talk to everyone and can spread information easily in their opinion. We can then use very simple statistical tools to pin down the central orange nodes. Step 2, contact the central nodes and ask them to spread information for the government. No monetary incentives are needed, as applaud and social praise suffice. And step 3, the communal network picks up the true information instead of the fake information and spreads it very organically. Okay, next slide. Govind, please continue.
Yeah, next slide. Next. Yeah, so rather than assuming the ideal rationality when consuming information, we take a more realistic behavioral approach where we try to understand pandemic risk messaging from the end user perspective. Next. The idea is to hack the virtuous channel which facilitate rumors under normal course and use them for desired credible official information to flow. That way, the behavioral biases which work against can be strengthened and capitalized upon for the official communication from the Health Ministry, Ayush, ICMR, and WHO to be effectively conveyed to the target population. Our intervention would capitalize this conduit for effective and scientifically accurate information, and the behavioral biases of bandwagon effect, salience effect, and availability heuristic works in our favor that way. Next slide. The implementation and feasibility of this intervention has already been tried and tested in a randomized controlled immunization done in Haryana over 520 villages by Dr. Abhijit Banerjee, where such type of information dissemination actually brought in evidence of increasing immunization by 30%. Moreover, the operational feasibility of this such a intervention is that these interventions take over by themselves and operate independently later on. Next slide. We also know that our solution lies in the high feasibility and low time and cost saving region in comparison to using misinformation tackling apps, current government messaging, or even door-to-door campaigning by authorities. Next slide, please. Yeah. So we realized that only word of mouth could go only so far. So we enhanced existing telephonic messages. Now, the studies have found that amidst a backdrop of high level of messaging to fight attention, respected public figures pre-recorded voice message brings in more relatability and has more direct and large indirect spillover effects as well. So we need to mold telephonic message for different age groups. Influencers or renowned personalities can be used, and the content of the message need to be relevant as per the target audience, region, and pertinence. A place having positivity rates higher than normal would need a different messaging from where an area where the curve has already flattened. Teenagers need different messaging than people over the age of 60. So our idea involves stakeholders which are already in place, the NGOs and the and local government administration, and use the rumor spreading information for effective communication of official information. That's it.
Thank you. And you went over the time, I think. Any questions for the judges?
Not me right now.
Question to me.
No questions here.
No questions. Okay, thank you, Team 34.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are at team 34 or 95? Devendra?
We are at team 34.
That's correct.
Oh, so the one that is left was 33.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Let us know when you are ready to go.
I am ready.
Okay. So we are team 34, Recovery Advisor, and we decided to embark on a journey to figure out what the most efficient way to get people recovering from COVID accurate information on the recovery process. Next slide, please. So people who are recovering from COVID face three primary problems. There's a large amount of information out there that is not relevant to them, and it is confusing because the media outlets don't have, there's a large amount of confusing information. There's also a large number of people who are recovering from COVID, and that number is going up on a daily basis. And also, more importantly, it is very difficult for the medical field to track symptoms of COVID patients after they have left the hospital. So there isn't a comprehensive database of the kinds of symptoms that patients experience during recovery. Okay, next slide, please. So Recovery Advisor is a solution to this problem. It is a curated, moderated forum where people recovering from COVID can ask medical professionals questions that regarding their symptoms and issues that they might have. This solution works really well because as we have a larger number of people who are in recovery, we can get a larger number of users. And since we let both medical professionals and users contribute to this forum, we will automatically build a large database of symptoms and solutions. Now, the users who do contribute, who are patients and are going through a curated process where medical professionals will check and verify that the information that they're posting is accurate and not erroneous. Next slide, please. We also took into mind that there were several issues faced by Indians when using software like this. So we have already built in our business plan a way to approach different NGO organizations, local Rotary clubs, Lions clubs, and bring in students, say, from medical universities to help translate and make this information available to every single person in India who has access to a computer or a cell phone, regardless of whether they speak English or not. There is certain difficulties in getting doctors to spend time to answer questions. So we have solutions developed for that. And we've also realized that some doctors will prescribe therapies that other doctors might find to be questionable. So we have created a secondary means of communicating information, which is a TEDMed style video platform where doctors can come together and discuss why they are prescribing certain strategies, what the benefits are, what the failure points are, and this will be published so that all people can look at this and realize and determine for themselves why there are different sets of treatments for COVID. We have looked at the market as a whole. Next slide, please. It is the market validation slide in case, okay. So we have looked at the different forums out there, and they are not targeted for our specific type of problem. They suffer from several issues, meaning that they are not curated, they're not moderated. They work really well, which demonstrates that people are out there asking these questions, but they're not getting good answers. Next slide, please. Business model, and obviously our blueprint. Oh, excellent. So what we have here is we've worked out all aspects of how we are going to approach this from the finance, from the staffing perspective, and I'd be more than happy to discuss this later during Q&A. And next slide, please. The importance of this is a technological, the importance of this is that we can, when we gather this data, we can help both patients, doctors, and scientists. Since the scientists don't have a current radar view of what symptoms the people are experiencing as they recover from COVID, we can provide this information to them. And the plans that are in place right now is to deepen our data gathering and analysis process so we create better data streams for the scientists who will receive this data and who will analyze it. Next slide, please. I had a wonderful team. I mean, a totally amazing team. I would like to thank every single one of you. So wide variety of people from a lot of different countries. And also I'd like to give special thanks to Doreen, Jose, Mark Wormser, and Surjana for their help during this process. Any questions?
Thank you, Bernard.
And I forgot to turn my video on.
2 minutes over.
No questions, or am I over time?
Could you go back to the previous slide, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Which slide are you interested in?
Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, product timeline. How can I assist you with this?
No, I'm good. I was just looking at it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So while Sabrina is looking at that, I had a question on this. So, you know, the big friction point over here is the patient actually filling in the information. The problem with all the contact tracing apps that exist out there, including all like the ones like Arogya Setu and so on and so forth, is people honestly putting in their information, and just the stigma associated with being a COVID patient. Sometimes it can be as high as being associated with HIV, right? And so people don't input that information. So how, you know, that's the biggest problem over here, is how do you get people to input that information?
Step one.
Have you thought about that?
Everybody who posts a question is completely anonymous. So there is no storing of usernames, or I should say, yes, there is no storing of usernames or avatars or any of that thing. They are given an anonymous user ID, and they will be represented on the website with a unique anon ID, similar to how Google Documents works when you have anonymous users show up there. We also don't require you to put in your demographic information. You can simply come in and ask a question, just like you do on Reddit. And if we were to go back a couple of slides to say slide 5, where I said market validation, there are several examples there, a little bit down. There we go, perfect, thank you, sir. So there are several examples there of these comments or these questions that are literally from these Reddit forums, where people are asking these exact same type of questions, but they have an anonymous username. So they do feel comfortable talking about these things as long as they're not directly connected or their identity is not connected. And these forums are each very large. There's 84,000 here, 28, 14,000 at in Slack. So yeah. Would you like to talk about our business plan? Any other questions?
So can you go back? Can you go back to the slide that Sabrina wanted? I want to take a look at that again. Yeah.
So when patients actually come in right now, all they do is they ask questions. So they say, I have these following symptoms. We're only extracting the symptoms. And if a doctor or a medical professional answers that, we can map those symptom keywords to the solution, okay? That's the only data set we have. As we progress through time, we will try it for demographic information. And I worked for 8 years in the healthcare industry. So there's a lot of legality, and there's a lot of legality that changes across countries. So that is a very expensive proposition in terms of just analyzing the legal requirements and then obviously building the software to match up each requirements in different countries. So that is a future plan.
So the bottom line here is, if I were to summarize it, is that I just want to make sure that I understood it correctly, is that suppose I recovered from COVID, I go to this forum and just have better understanding of, like, hey, 4 months in, I'm still not able to walk properly, and I'm not alone. There are like 12,000 other people are probably having the same issues. So I go to this in a portal or the forum. How does that help me? Is this just the fact that I know the other people that have symptoms, or is it more like, hey, you're expected to have this, that, and the other? Like,
yes. So when you have something randomly happen to you, you are as a person confused, upset, and you want answers. So generally people find these answers through social media. And the issue with COVID is that it is a new disease. The symptoms that people are experiencing as they recover are actually like symptoms of heart attacks, brain damage, lung fibrosis, thrombosis of the legs. Those are actually other illnesses. Now, we don't know. So when you experience these symptoms, you go online, you say, this is what I'm experiencing. Most of the people there who are not medical professionals will tell you something, and they're more than likely wrong. If you come here and you ask the same question, like similar to WebMD, you ask the question, we are able to identify, we will connect you with a doctor who will give you some advice. It's not medical advice, but you'll say, okay, that sounds like this issue. And if we connect enough of that data, we can now make a predictive statement. So if somebody comes in and asks the same type of question again, I can say, hey, this thing kind of matches these other things. Have you considered these other things as well? Or do you want to look into these other solutions that other patients have been experiencing?
Got it.
It's like Stack Overflow, but it's moderated by doctors. And the goal is to basically give patients very accurate information on what they're experiencing right now, focused on COVID, and then collecting that data and giving it to scientists so they can actually analyze it and figure out what's happening in the COVID frontier.
Okay, thank you.
So Bernard, this is Pritika. I think the part to me that's interesting is, the doctors being able to collate the information and then do research. Because I think the one problem that we're facing right now is because there's such a stress, there's already the health system across the world. You come in, you're treated. Once the sort of immediate symptoms are better, you're sent home. And then you may go to your GP and you may go wherever, but there's not much follow-up. But the same way we're learning so much about the disease, we're learning about the disease itself. We're just beginning to learn about the after effects as well. So I think that part is super interesting and maybe doesn't come out as much. And I think it's very valuable for the scientific community. Now, I think the problem we may have is, self-report systems are always tricky. And so I don't know if there's a way to basically, I don't know, sort of make it a bit more generic and have a drop-down menu or something like that. But, because the way I describe something and someone else describes something may be different. But I think that, to me, that part is super interesting.
So actually, I didn't get a chance to elaborate on the tech stacks, but we are actually planning on doing that. So when you describe your symptoms in text, when you hit sub, it will basically then query you to clean up the data. So it'll say, this sounds like these issues. Are you also experiencing these other issues? So before we submit this to the doctor, obviously, if you say to the doctor, I am tired, I can't get up every morning, that's not enough information. So there is going to be an attempt made, just like in Stack Overflow, to generate a quality question along with quality symptoms so that the doctor can, or a nurse, or even a medical professional of any kind can make an assessment, not a medical diagnosis, but just look at it and say, okay, this is kind of what that sounds like. Is serious, go see a doctor. If it's not serious, and there's also plans to build a recovery journal, which is basically an opportunity for the person who has COVID to track their recovery process. This generates data for scientists, but it also tells, it's like most people who work out seriously keep a training journal. It's the same concept.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think it's great because we, there's so many, we keep focusing on the people that have recovered, but we don't know what that recovery looks like, a couple of months in. And a lot of people are reporting sort of long COVID and long-term symptoms. So.
And this is the goal, to try to track that very thing. Any other questions anybody has?
I think, do we have any more questions, judges?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity of being in the MIT there.
Now our last team. Team 95.
Hello.
Let me know when you are ready.
Yes, I'm just looking for my teammate to be ready.
I'm ready, yeah.
Okay, great. Can we go back one slide? Hello, everyone. We are Volunteer, and we empower volunteers to take immediate action. Next. In India, misinformation and lack of awareness disproportionately affect vulnerable communities where people don't have the information or resources they need to prevent COVID-19. Why do people care about COVID-19 prevention when their homes are flooded or when they can't put food on the table? Next. The solution we developed is volunteer groups helping vulnerable communities. We create a crowdsourcing platform for people interested in volunteering to form volunteer groups, to share trustworthy information, educate citizens on COVID-19 prevention, and provide testing and food delivery services. This gives vulnerable populations the resources and information they need to prevent COVID-19. Next. For the volunteer group organization, potential volunteers will contact local volunteer groups, and volunteer leaders can train potential volunteers. The NGOs provide PPE and funding to volunteer groups, and these local volunteers, once trained, can volunteer at healthcare organizations or help vulnerable families and neighborhoods. Next.
So the way that the organization is structured is essentially the crowdsourced volunteers will connect via social media networks such as WhatsApp to create these groups, which is they're gonna be led by medical and public health experts who democratically decide on what training materials are needed based on up-to-date research. And these volunteer groups with NGOs will partner with NGOs and healthcare organizations and essentially be more collaborative with the community when they're providing support services. Next. So essentially, there are 4 tasks that a volunteer can do. One is place information signs on sites that are high risk of COVID transmission, like markets. Provide health education in public spaces, provide rapid COVID-19 testing, and deliver supplies such as food and PPE. Next. Essentially, we plan on strategically allocating these human resources. We know that community health workers working the most disparate areas reduce the tendency for an outbreak. So we know that providing volunteers with training and PPE are going to be exactly what we need in order for one to give them the opportunities to provide health education and as well as spread these resources around in the most poorest communities of India. Next. That being said, we are Voluncare. My name is Matt and my partner is Alexa. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Any questions?
Thank you.
So more a comment than a question. One of the states that's been the most successful at mobilizing volunteers has been Kerala in the south, and it may be interesting to look at what they've done. I mean, it's, you know, for many reasons, it's got a long history of community involvement. They had massive floods last year and the year before that, and you know, community volunteers were the biggest reason that they were able to do it. And I think there's much less of a structure for volunteering in other states. But if you've been looking at the media on just how much health workers and frontline workers are overwhelmed, it's a, you know, very pressing need. So thanks for putting this together.
So we're thinking of building something like GitHub, where it's like a space where people can create these projects, like specifically public health experts and clinicians, where they can go and recruit, gather these volunteers or crowdsource these volunteers, and essentially go into the areas that need it most. We believe that the way that health information should be spread was from these experts, and also the community of volunteers who are learning from these experts.
So the only thing that I'd say, sorry, I interrupted.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
No, just very quickly. I'd say the only thing I'd say is it's important for this to be sort of tech and non-tech, only because you want to reach a wide demographic, but
yeah.
Right, yeah, we want to also use WhatsApp just to, like, for volunteers to initially organize. I think, like, many people are interested in volunteering, but they need the organization, the training, and PPE to begin doing that.
So just the one thing I was just wondering is that if you thought about how to make sure that the volunteers are safe or protected beyond PPE. So, like, if I want to volunteer, one of my concerns is that, hey, if I do get sick, who helps me out, right? Have you kind of thought about that aspect of it? Because, you know, the volunteers will be putting themselves at risk by doing this. So,
yes. So I think we need to definitely work more on that. I think the current plan is for, like, the local volunteer groups will partner with healthcare organizations and NGOs, so they can receive the support they need, and also the volunteer groups are also like hopefully a close community where they can help each other, I think.
So one thing, and I think that's a really important point that Sabrina raised, because I think, you know, particularly in countries where health systems are weak and public healthcare in particular, I mean, people's question is, I'm happy to help, but what if something happens to me? What I look at is the government has come out with the insurance scheme, which is very cheap. I don't know how effective it is, but it's, you know, it's one product that you could maybe, exactly like Sabrina said, I mean, there's PPE, but then if you actually fall sick, what happens? And maybe bundling like insurance with it would give people a sense of safety.
Right. Insurance is.
It's also
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, this concludes our final presentation. And there is an event coming up at noon that I would like the participants encourage them to participate while the judges deliberate who are the winners. Thank you,
Cool.
everyone.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
So Olivia, just the judges, do we meet now or?
I think it.
Yeah, I think if we just take 5 minutes break, and then I'll put the link again on the
Slack.
on the judges Slack.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, super. Thank you,
Okay.
guys. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
patience with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Actually, this doesn't want to leave. Ninja, can you close the session for me because the iPad doesn't want to listen to me. Ninja, are you there?
Yeah. Sorry, I was on mute. 1 minute.
Okay. Please close the session. It doesn't want to listen to me.
Should I end it?
Yes, please.
Okay.